Alright. Welcome to Let's Talk MTG. My name's Eric, and we're gonna cover the wrap-up here for our series of the Challenger decks. Had a lot of fun with these decks. I hope you guys can check the little box up there in the top and let me know what you thought about these decks. I thought that they were very fun. It was very fun to actually get a chance to play, you know, this style of series where I run all of an entire product. So someone else built all four of these decks, and you know, as always, you know, some of them will be great and some of them will not. And we had 3 out of 4 that I was actually really happy with. So I guess if I was going to give my feedback on the decks and give my upgraded versions, you'll be able to look in the description box below. You'll be able to find all of my upgraded versions, and there will be a link to the playlist right up here where you can go back and watch where I played each of these in a competitive standard league. And I think after playing them in a competitive standard league that I can at least, you know, give some feedback on how I felt the product was overall. And honestly, guys, I'm gonna say good job, Wizards. You know, 3 out of 4 decks we were able to go, you know, free to play with right out of the box without changing a card, and they were really great. Now, for $30, April, I believe 6th is when they come out. It may be April 9th, but you know, that's not really the important part. The important part is for $30, you're getting about $70 to $80 worth of value. I know some shops have said that, you know, they're going to be selling these for you know, $40, $45, because there's just so much value in these that, you know, it's just it doesn't make sense to sell an $80 deck for $30, but that is what Wizards has done here. Now, if you guys want to check out, you know, the upgrades here, I've got those, and I'm kind of going to go over them a little bit. The Vehicle Rush deck, out of the box, it's going to be a Dwarves deck. The mana base is going to look a little bit funny, but as long as you keep it on the Dwarfs plan, you're not going to need to change the mana base very much. As soon as you start pulling Dwarves out of the deck, you really need to start looking at that mana base, and you're going to want to change that. Here I've got you a version of Modo that has recently won a PPTQ. So this came first place in, I like think Belgium or something like that. One of these came from Belgium, another one was from somewhere else, but either way, you know, I tried to pull the most competitive versions for you guys for the upgrades. And again, like, if you guys want to upgrade these, there's so many different directions. You can go just look and find, you know, your latest tournament, and you're going to find a version of one of these decks. Now, that may not be so for the Second Sun approach deck. Now, the Second Sun approach deck, this deck, it broke my heart the most because it was the deck that we were not able to play for free. We didn't go 3 and 2 with this one. We went 2 and 3. So we didn't get our tickets back. You know, that was a boo-hoo. You know, why we didn't get to have fun with this one and play for free. But I think a lot of that's got to do with, you know, sideboard options, authority of the consoles, and things like that are going to be some major upgrades. Throwing some baffling ends in the deck are not going to be bad either. You may or may not want Fragmentize or Ixalan's Bindings. I think the negates are where you want to be. Regal Caracle's where you want to be. Glyph Keeper actually surprised me at how good it was, and it might actually be better than Nezahal. But Nezahal's still a really good finisher here. But you could use either one. I did have some success there with the Glyph Keeper in the end. Overall, though, I think the deck really needs to, like, search for Escanta. It needs good counter spells like Disallow and Essence Scatter. I think these are going to be your first upgrades. Get your Essence Scatters, get your Disallows, because with the way the deck is built coming out of the box, the farther into the late game you get, the worse the deck gets. And that should never be the case for a control deck. You should become more and more favored the further the game gets, whereas all of the counter spells in the main deck can be paid for, where, you know, the deck's running just Supreme Wills and Censors and things, and there's no hard counter. And I think that's the biggest flaw with the Second Sun approach deck. So I've got you a good version of approach right here. If you guys decide you want to run that, you know, of course, get you a couple more Settle the Wreckages, put in the deck. You don't need all those cast outs. Ixalan's Binding might be better for you. And absolutely get those Glacial Fortresses to get that upgrade. Now, maybe you didn't want to go on the second sun approach. You might want to actually take the deck in a different direction if you like the cycling theme of it and such. You could take the direction into a Drakehaven theme here. And, you know, I'm going to throw you a link for this one as well down there. So if you guys want to check out the Drakehaven deck, again, this is a deck that I found from, you know, searching the top decks in PPTQs recently. So, you know, you'll be able to, and no, I'm not saying that I built any of these upgrades. I'm saying these are all existing decks in our format, and we can find tried, tested, and true versions of these decks. And I think that we should always say, you know, that would be the upgrade to lean for if I had to send someone and, you know, massively send a lot of people into a direction. I would have to say that we need to go with something that's already won a tournament or something like that. And it was actually hard to find an approach deck that that had done well. There's not many in Rivals of Ixalan that have actually done really well, but we have found quite a few cyclers. And so if you wanted to take the approach deck in the upgraded section for cyclers, I think the first place you're going to start is with a search for Azcanta, because that's going to fit in either deck. And then, of course, you're going to have to get your Drakehavens, and you're going to want to start, you know, trading your Glimmers out for some hieroglyphic illuminations and such. But overall, you will need to be getting some more Settle the Wreckages, as that is just kind of standard. And you're going to want to get those Glacial Fortress. Of course, for the sideboard, in either of the decks, you're going to want the Authority of the Consuls, and, you know, as it just really helps. Now, whether or not you had that one of Immortal Sun or something like that, that's just kind of all on you, but there are a lot of different answers in blue-white that you could run. I definitely say no matter what you do, you're probably going to at least want a copy or two of Torrential Gearhulk. This particular deck runs one copy of Torrential Gearhulk. Why did that... so this is the full sideboard here. If you guys want to take a look at that, you can run Fragmentize, Forsake the Worldly, whichever one you want. So there's a couple options there for upgrading the control deck. I thought that it was by far the weakest of the decks that we played, and it felt that way just because the control answers were not the best answers that they should have been, and we just didn't really have a good finisher other than Approach of the Second Sun, and without having true control, it was hard to actually get Approach of the Second Sun off. Other than that, you know, you got countervailing winds and things like that you could push for if you wanted to go into the cycling approach. But how did the Counter Surge deck? Well, honestly, the Counter Surge deck went really well. I had a lot of fun with that, and we've got a couple ways that you can upgrade it. Now, granted, if you just wanted to go with a pure green-black upgrade, we've got one of those for you. You just check the description box. It'll be listed as the Counter Surge upgraded. And, you know, it's just Merfolk Branchwalker, Jade Light Ranger, more Fatal Push, more Vraska's Contempts over, you know, the Hours of Glory and such. Rishkar is really good. I like that card. Verdurous Gearhulk and Walking Ballista, just kind of where you want to be. Lifecrafter's Bestiary, Deathgorge Scavenger, Nissa, some, you know, Scrap Heap Scroungers, Naturalize, Duress, you know, all of the standard stuff here for upgrading and solidifying just a good solid green-black list. However, most people right now would say that you'd want to go with option B, or actually option Climb, with Hadana's Climb. Hadana's Climb is kind of, you know, on our radar lately, and it uses a slightly different aspect where it's trying to drop a Hydra on 3 using Servant of the Conduit to slam your turn 3 Hydra, and then you start following that up with a Hadana's Climb. And now this is still a very budgetish version of the deck, as there's no the Scarab Gods, and, you know, you'll have your Verdurous Gearhulks. You can, you know, keep your Hour of Glories for your Vraska's Contempts for now, but as you know, move over to getting your Vraska's Contempts, you're going to want to put those in the deck. In the sideboard, a lot more of the same. Vraska's Contempt, Fatal Push, Duress, Negate, Thrashing Brontodon, Cartouche of Ambition. Card that was actually a ton of fun. It was really good to put this on one of your creatures that was going to grow out of control. Cartouche of Ambition was really good, and I thought the card played really well in the deck. Now, some of you might want to get a little bit more janky, a little bit spicier with it. I am going to post this this Pummeler version of the upgrade. I'm not really going to talk about it a whole lot. Just going to give one shout out to Justin Clay, who built the deck, and just say that I had a lot of fun when I played this. And if somebody said you need to go play green black, then this would probably be the version of green-black I would play. No, it's not a snake deck, but it's another version of green-black that you're going to pick up a lot of the cards when you buy that pre-con deck, or the pre-constructed deck, the challenger deck. So there's a couple options there for you in the green-black, the counter surge deck. And then, of course, if you pick up Hazoret Aggro, you just buy 3 copies of it and you have your upgrade. That's not exactly the truth. You're going to want to remove those Harsh Mentors and get in these Earthshaker Kinras. Earthshaker Kinra is going to be really, really important in the deck. You're going to also want to kick out those Soulscar Mages, as they're not getting a lot of play right now. You're going to want to, to make sure that you've streamlined this deck. And most of the way you're going to streamline that is taking the Magma Sprays and the other cards that are hard to cast against a control deck and put those in the side. And we've got a Braid, PNLR, On-Crop Crasher, 1 Rekindling Phoenix, 1 Chandra here, 4 Hazarets, and that's going to be where you're going to spend most of your money for upgrading this deck. You can pick up some more Hazarets, some Earthshaker Kinras, and then, if you end up with a Rekindling Phoenix, that's fine. If you just, stick with the Glory Bringers, even this version of the deck, I've got 4 Glory Bringers here in the side, another copy of Chandra, a couple Aether Sphere Harvesters for the matchup. Direfleet Daredevil works really well in the sideboards here. Even though we got a couple of Braids main board, you're going to want a couple here in the sideboard. Blazing Volley does wonders. It's surprising in how well this does against the Tokens decks, the Vampires decks, and things like that. A couple Chandra's Defeat, you're not going to want to lose those because red deck is still a problem, or still an issue. Magma Spray, again, like I said, I moved those to the side because we want to be able to get rid of those in those Hazoret heavy hands. So, that is this version of the deck for the most part. Again, guys, I had a lot of fun with these decks. I think overall the decks are an extreme success, and I think that if you guys do end up purchasing the decks and decide to upgrade them, it's going to give you the option to be able to have multiple decks sitting around. Now, I want to talk to you about not upgrading the decks. I personally think that if you did not upgrade the decks, that the decks would fight very, very well against each other. So just having the 4 decks sitting around and just, on that spin wheel, hey, spin the wheel, looks like you got number 4, you're going to be playing control. Spin the wheel, you got 3, you're going to play vehicles, whatever. That would be a good, fun way to introduce your friends and stuff into Magic. I will definitely say that I think this is going to be the product to help bring more new players to Standard, because there's so many of us that can just have the cards to upgrade it, just keep it in our backpack, and when we have a friend that goes, hey, why don't you show me how to play, we can pull out this really good deck, and if they need to borrow it for a little while, it's not really going to set us back a lot, or stuff like that. Remember, there's a lot of value here in these $30 decks, so I hope you guys do enjoy. I hope you guys enjoyed the league. Please check it out. Give the videos a like, share the video, ever how you want to support us. And remember, if you want to play this deck or any other deck like it, you can with Manatraders. There's a link in the description box below, and when you use promo code sideboard MTG15, you'll save up to 15% on your first 4 months. That's a huge savings. That could allow you to play every deck in Standard for the price of one of these pre-con decks. Come on, it's a pretty good deal. Know what you want to play before you go spend the money in paper, before you actually buy that deck in paper. Also, Manatraders rents in paper and online, and they sell cards in paper and online. So if you want to check that out, you can. My name's Eric. It's been fun. I hope you had fun. And we'll see you next time here on Sideboard MTG.